You chose absolutely right tuning in to Rwanda Television tonight. A very good evening to you. We hope you had yourselves a great and energetic start to your week. Welcome to tonight's edition. These are the headlines. The International Council of Museums, International Committee for Memorial and Human Rights Museums meeting and conference started in Kigali on Monday. Experts recommend that African countries should harmonize laws governing seed multiplication in order to achieve sufficiency. Good evening to you once again, and many thanks for your company on Rwanda Television News tonight. And as we kick it off, the International Council of Museums, International Committee for Memorial and Human Rights Museums 2024 meeting and conference started in Kigali at the Kigali Genocide Memorial on Monday, July 29, with officials noting that it will showcase the vital role that African memorials and museums play in fostering a sustainable peace and human rights education.
The conference brought together different participants, including academicians, government officials, and researchers. It is the first time such global think tanks on the museums and heritage issues that define the museum professional standards, share scientific information, establish partnership with the organizations, and evolve recommendations for member countries, and convening on the African continent. Jan Klinger, the chairperson of the IC Memory, pointed out that this meeting will focus on setting measures to fight the denialism of the genocide against Tutsi.
And we are meeting at a time specifically marking the 30th anniversary of the genocide against the Tutsi. First of all the participants, whether they are members of IC Memory or young people and others, dignitaries we have invited, will be learning about the history of Rwanda, the background that led up to the genocide. We will be talking about commemoration, and simply by doing that, simply by our presence, we will have an impact for standing up against deniers and people who distort history and disseminate untruths.
Our immense joy and pleasure at hosting
Ambassador Robert Masozera, the Director General of the Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy, noted that hosting this annual forum for the first time in Africa is a historic moment, giving countries history and lessons. They
are learning a lot on the Rwandan experience. They have visited memorial sites here in Rwanda, and they are going also to visit museums as well. So it was a good opportunity for them to see the landscape and the context and the landscape of museum and the memorial here in Rwanda. So this is going to help them basing on the lessons learned here in Rwanda, because the fact of having memorial and museums really it's very helpful. Even in the fight against denial, and this is why it's very important to have this conference in Rwanda, while we are still commemorating 30 years after the genocide against the Tutsis.
In September 2023, the Murami Genocide Memorial in Nyamagabe District, Nyamata Genocide Memorial in Bugesera District, Kigali Genocide Memorial in the city of Kigali, and the Bisesero Genocide Memorial in Karongi District were inscribed on UNESCO's World Heritage List. Adams Kwizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Agricultural experts recommend that African countries harmonize laws governing seed multiplication, trade, and the value chain to ensure farmers receive insufficient and high-quality seeds. They believe this would boost the continent's seed sales on the international market, which currently stands at a mere 2%. We have the details.
The issue of seeds has become a long-standing challenge on the African continent. The president of the Africa Seed Trade Association, Yakuba Diallo, explains reasons behind this matter.
But the current situation of the seeds industry in the continent, as we all know, high quality of seed are vital input for crop production. They are result from scientific innovations and also are highly regulated commercial product subject to international trade, because no single country can completely fulfill the demand of its seed, the demand of seed from its own productions. That's why collaboration among countries may be necessary to ensure that farmers have access to quality seeds.
Statistics indicate that in 2022, the international seed market was worth $54 billion. It is also expected that the market will grow to $82 billion in 2031. On the other hand, the head of seed systems development at AGRA, Dr. George Vigirwa, indicates that for African countries to be seed sufficient, harmonizing their laws is crucial.
Africa is still having a big challenge of seed. If you look at the percentage of farmers using improved seed, it is still very low. On average, it stands at 20%, implying that 80% of our farmers are still using unimproved seed. And that's a big challenge. Some of those policies are to do with equality. Some countries are hesitant to buy seed from other countries because they know the quality has got an issue. And when it comes to cross-border trade, for you to market your seed, you must have been a member of International Seed Trade Association, accredited. So most of these labs are not internationally accredited, so you can't easily market seed across. And of course, some of these varieties are not adapted in some of these countries where they can easily be traded.
The three-day Rwanda Seed Congress is being held in Kigali to address how Africa can secure access to sufficient and high-quality seeds. Eric Rwigamba, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, emphasizes that the priority is conducting research to identify the seeds best suited for each country.
The government is to support, facilitate, and incentivize the production of seeds, and the seeds of different varieties, from maize to soya to horticulture. What the government does is to provide some incentives, but two, to encourage farmers to adopt usage of those improved seeds. And the reason is because they will help improve quality of the yield, increase the yield, also resistant to pests and diseases, as well as climate change.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources states that Rwanda has achieved seed sufficiency for maize, wheat and soybeans. Consequently, there is no longer need to import those seeds, and the country plans to start distributing them to neighboring countries.
Still in agriculture, experts emphasize the need for increased investment in research to advance agriculture on the African continent. They highlight that discovering sustainable solutions to the global challenges posed by climate change would lead to long-lasting and sustainable results in agriculture. Olive Nete brings us the report.
Experts are in Kigali for the Science and Partnerships for Agriculture Conference, which has brought together researchers, experts, farmers, and partners in the field. Their discussions focus on building a sustainable agriculture sector. They emphasize the need to find sustainable solutions to challenges such as climate change, post-harvest handling procedures due to inadequate storage methods, and identifying the best seeds for specific soil types. Rwanda has announced that it is researching the use of genetically modified crops because of their potential to combat crop diseases. Ndumuremyi Athanase, a researcher working on this project, reiterated some of the measures being implemented to start using these crops.
Cassava, now we are at the level of multi-location, but in the CFT. CFT is a confined field trial facility. For potato, we are at early stage. We already have approval from REMA, from Rwanda Environment Management Authority, to establish CFTs. Potato will be varieties resistant to Letibrite. Letibrite, when you don't spray the fungicide, you will not harvest. So we want to bring a variety which will not be reliant to chemicals for, so it means our farmers, the cost of production will be reduced. And maize also is a crop we are working on. Currently, we are starting a new project very soon on testing the what we call terra maize and tego maize. Terra maize, they are of course BT maize. Terra maize, the BT maize, resistant to foramium and stem borer. And then tego maize, drought is very serious, especially in eastern province and other parts of the country. So we want to also test the varieties resistant to drought.
During these discussions, participants emphasized the need to preserve the agriculture sector. Dr. Agre Agumia, the Executive Director of the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, believes that increased investment in agricultural research would address many of the sector's challenges.
One is investment into research, ensuring you have the infrastructure, you have the personnel, and the personnel themselves, the capacities. You have come from very far because we have walked with you this journey from the time of before RAB was created, and now where you are, very strong, but still the demands of the sector are tremendous. And we also see that Rwanda has made a lot of progress in terms of integrating the various elements of research. So research does not stand alone. Research is very well joined up with extension, with the other aspects of the value chain. So that's a big plus. But broadly, the continent research is underfunded. The capacity is very low. The capacities that are there are doing their best, and the international partners are helping. But it is best and more sustainable if we can build our own capacity, invest more our own resources into this sector.
Olivier Kamana, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, highlights that the cooperation of various institutions across the African continent is essential for finding sustainable solutions to improve the development of the agriculture sector.
Researchers need to collaborate since it is common to find that others have already worked on or are currently addressing similar issues. For example, we may begin research on certain crops here in Rwanda, only to discover what solutions to the same problem are being implemented elsewhere. When researchers meet, they can combine efforts, share experiences, and exchange information, which facilitates the development and acceleration of research activities.
Currently, Rwanda has 1.4 million hectares of agricultural land. Statistics show that the agriculture sector in 2023 accounted for 27% of the country's gross domestic product and 34% of exports. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has announced a special program to purchase excess agriculture produce from farmers. This initiative aims to provide a permanent solution to the problem of premature sales at prices lower than those set by the relevant authorities. Ines Aketia brings us more.
The 2024 egg crop season was deemed successful, particularly in the yield of maize and rice. Statistics indicate a 7% increase in production. However, some farmers have reported issues such as prematurely selling crops, locally known as roasting the crops, or selling to buyers who do not adhere to the prices set by the relevant authorities. Sengiyumva François is a maize farmer who cultivates over 250 hectares in the district of Kirehe, Rwamagana, and Gakenke.
Sometimes, farmers lost their crops because they spent 6 months waiting for the harvest and have taken dates here and there. So, the first harvest is often used to cover up all the problems and dates. We desire for an improvement in monitoring harvest and ensuring that farmers have access to good markets.
Minimex, the largest producer of fine maize products in Rwanda, is one of the major buyers of maize. Hashimimana Jean d'Amour, the operation manager, indicates that the Rwandan market is also open to imports from other countries, and these imported products are priced lower than the local produce. This has created a gap in maize procurement, particularly affecting the purchase of locally grown maize.
Sometimes we receive harvest from neighboring countries, and the prices of these imports are lower compared to local produce. However, it has created a gap in the purchase of maize, particularly affecting local maize procurement because of the different prices that differ from the established prices by the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Munyakazi Jean-Paul, legal representative of Imbaraga Farmer Organization, thinks that there is a need for more efforts into agreements between farmers and buyers of their products, and there should be oversight to ensure that both sides adhere to these agreements.
There is need for contracts between farmers and the buyers of their produce. There should be oversight to ensure that both sides respond to the contracts.
Officials at the Ministry of Trade and Industry confirmed that they are finalizing a way of purchasing agricultural produce from farmers. The Rwanda Agriculture and Animal Resources Board, RAB, says that the Season A of 2024 harvest increased up to 316,000 tons, including maize and rice. Inez Aketia, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Katia. And to health matters, the Ministry of Health encourages young people to take necessary measures to prevent the new HIV infections that have been prevalent and increasingly among young people. We do have the details with Cedric Irakoze.
According to a report by UNAIDS, the United Nations agency responsible for combating AIDS and HIV, the prevalence of AIDS and HIV infections in Rwanda has reached 3%. Amrididia and Mugisha Matusela, young university students, stated that HIV infection rates are increasing more rapidly among the younger generation.
Impamvu rero ntekereza yuko bashobora kuba batakiha imbaraga cyangwa se tutakigira imbaraga zo kumva yuko nyine ihari nukubera.
The root cause of taking it for granted is that we judge by our own eyes. You cannot know who is infected or not by just looking at them. And that is where we should be careful because we don't know who is infected or not.
Ngewe ubwanjye se nkwiye gukora iki ndirinda se mu buhe buryo?
Ni indwara ikomeje gufata indi ntera.
HIV is spreading more than how we think because most of young generation ignore its dangerous effects. Some of them don't have enough information about it, and others judge concerns with the physical appearance, and it leads them into unprotected sex.
Situation protection bakayirengagiza.
On International AIDS Prevention Day, the Minister of Health, Dr. Nsanzimana Sabe, stated that the rise in infections among young people indicates that certain measures have not been implemented. He emphasized that it is their responsibility to address the gaps and take effective steps to halt the epidemic completely. Young people point out that one of the factors for increase in new HIV infections is that most of them engaged in unprotected sex.
Abantu benshi abajene urubyiruko usanga nago bakunda gukoresha agakingirizo kandi nyamara.
In this generation, young people don't like to use protection in sexual interaction while using condom is very key. But also, in different universities, young girls look like modern people and some of them sleep with old men. So whenever you meet her, of course you will be attracted on how she looks.
Benshi cyane usanga aribo bagiye bandura.
Young people urge the government to strengthen campaigns aimed at educating them about dangers of AIDS, specifically targeting schools at all levels. Additionally, they believe that parents should take responsibility for their children's health and having open conversations about reproductive health and AIDS or HIV prevention. Cedric Irakoze, RwandaTV News.
And that's all from us here at RB's Rwanda Television News. On behalf of the entire news production, as well as the technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us. We wish you a safe and great night, but also a great and fruitful week ahead. Goodbye.